environment, but I'm long-term optimistic on the stock market if we can make the necessary reforms. Again, in the interest of time, let me focus in on a few structural issues. Our stock market has one of the lowest market cap to GDP ratios in the region. And if you look at some of the key constituencies, our foreign investors are around 1% of the market. In Pakistan, it's 10%. In India, it's 30%. And in Sri Lanka, it's 40% of the market. So having spent most of my career talking to foreign investors, I've been to 80 countries. I've met 30 central banks and finance ministries. So I've heard a lot of different foreign investors' views. As far as Bangladesh is concerned, they're worried primarily about three things. Foreign investors are worried about lack of high-quality companies to invest in. They're worried about lack of good governance in our markets and lack of liquidity. So if I just, because I'm short of time, talk about the supply side, lack of quality stocks. I think that the reforms that have been done in our banking system by the Honourable Governor of the Central Bank, I think actually is very good news for our capital markets. Many companies haven't listed in our capital market because they either tell me they don't need the money, or they would say that, historically, it's easier to borrow money from banks and manage your bank loans. So there's been an NPL or default culture that has persisted in the balanced banking sector. And I think that since the Honourable Governor, Dr. Ahsan Mansur, has taken over, he is restoring good governance in the banking sector. So I think it's not so easy an option for companies to take loans to finance future investment and manage those loans. And that means they need to consider coming to the capital market more seriously. I also think that the resolving NPLs and the asset recovery domestically can also give us more supply in the capital markets. Just another couple of quick observations. I was one of the co-authors for CMDB2 30 years ago. I wrote 3 of the chapters. I was also one of the authors of the infrastructure finance paper done for IFC 30 years ago. And when I look back at what I wrote 30 years ago, not much has changed, not much has been implemented, actually. We can have CMDB3 or CMDB4, so I think as Professor Mushtak and our keynote speaker, Deborah Freer, why is it not being done? That's a fundamental question. Last thing I'll say, and because I want to make sure the last 2 speakers have enough time, I would also recommend that we require all of our mega infrastructure projects to have a clause so that infrastructure projects, we've got used to bilateral financing of infrastructure projects. We have a clause where all of these infrastructure projects need to be listed on our stock market. If it's a bridge project, if it's a road project, any kind of PPP project, that actually we included in our clause for bilateral financing, that project needs to be listed in our capital market. And on the very last point, as far as the view that for many large corporates who are not listed, they say we don't need the money. And I would say, well, Apple, Google, Microsoft, $3 trillion companies, Tesla, Nvidia, Reliance in India, they're all listed. And are we really trying to convince ourselves that our big companies are much smarter or better positioned than these mega companies? So there must be a reason why they're listing in their capital markets and our companies are not listing in ours. So we have to answer these fundamental questions. But let me stop there in the interest of time, and again, thank the keynote speaker and the Honourable Chief Guest, Special Speaker, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.